Okay, let's go. Oh, I wanted to do tea. Let's do tea. We're doing tea. We're doing tea. Which means gotta dust the tea. Dust the tea off. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the live. We're talking about human design today. Just what I talk about every day. Just because there's no day that we're not human. What's up, everybody? Let me know where you're calling in from. What's on your heart? Today we're talking about human design. Just gonna get some water boiling for my tea. North to go. Hello. I was raised in San Diego, so I spent some time in TJ, but not too much time. But anyway, welcome to the live, everybody. If you don't already know what your human design is, make sure you go generate that. You can do that for free on my website, reikimarco.com. And also, while you guys are checking in, let me know where you're from. Let me know what your human design is as well. These sessions are sort of, I kind of like to see it as my way of just kind of like giving back to anyone who is coming across this live for the first time. If you don't know about human design, this live is going to be like a free masterclass. And so yeah, so let me know what your type is. Let me know your profile. Let me know your authority. And if you have any questions about your human design, specific or general, just let me know. I am going to prioritize any of my subscribers that I do see here. Misty Bab, what's up? Thank you for subscribing. Jackson, Florida. Okay, how we doing over there? Florida's been has always been a wild state to me, but definitely lately has been doing there's been a lot of extra stuff. Sexy, sweet, and subtle. Hello, good afternoon, reflections. Right, it's morning for me. It's 9 a.m. here, but so cool that we all just get to connect regardless of where we're from. Fondest memory was building sandcastles with my father. That was until my mom took me. Oh man, that's sad. Sandcastles though. I live in Maui, so definitely potential for lots of sandcastle activity, but I haven't built a sandcastle in a long time. My 2-year-old daughter, she's gonna be 2 soon, is gonna be at that age now pretty soon where she's gonna want to do stuff like that. So I am pretty excited about it, honestly. I lived in San Diego for 4 years. Ah, yes, I grew up in San Diego. San Diego's beautiful. So beautiful. Missouri generator emotional 3-5. I'm a 3-5. So for those of you that have never met me before, what's up? My name is Marco. For those of you that met me before, hello again. I'm happy to see you here. These lives happen, by the way, pretty regularly, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. And I'll definitely cover some Reiki tips for beginners. Spiral Goddess, definitely go spin up your chart. My body graph or my human design, I'm a 3-5 reflector, specifically on the cross of rulership. And I've been studying human design for almost 10 years now. And there's a lot of things about human design that are really helpful. And then there are a lot of things about human design that are not helpful for most people yet, right? Like there's a lot of advanced things in human design that are not helpful unless you have the basics of human design down. Now, human design is an incredibly complex and vast system. Oh, it does not smell good. And so what you need to understand about human design, number one, is that to start your experiment, right, all you need is a body graph, and you can get one of those for free on my website. Now, once you have your body graph, you're looking at two things. You're looking at your strategy and your authority. Your strategy is basically going to be your go-to way of how am I going to like work with other people? What's the way that I'm going to work with other people? Or how am I going to make my decisions, right? And then you have your inner authority, which is going to let you know where do I look to find something that's inherent and internal for me. For some people, their inner authority is their emotions. For other people, it's their spleen. For other people, it's their ego. Or other people, it's their sacral. And so learning what your inner authority is going to help you make decisions that are actually correct for you. Now, there's also split definitions, there's also profiles, there's also incarnation crosses, there's a ton of information, but until you have strategy and authority like dialed in, and by dialed in, I mean like throughout the day, do you 90% of the time make your decisions with strategy and authority? That is one of the primary things that you have to learn about human or learn how to do with human design. Because if you're not doing that, a lot of the nuances of human design is going to be like information in your brain, but um, not actually giving you opportunities to embody this information. And so, one of the very common ones, Spiral Goddess, is emotional authority, which essentially means that you're going to be moving through emotional waves. And what you want to do is just not make decisions in the emotional wave. This goes for anyone with solar plexus authority or emotional authority. I'm seeing a lot of them. Regardless of your strategy, the inner authority is emotional, meaning that you will oftentimes find that what you're feeling, your emotions, are conflicting with what's going on in the external world. Maybe there's something going on in the external world that makes you feel like, oh, I don't like that. I don't do that. That doesn't line up with me. That's not aligned. Your opportunity then is to side with either the external authority, what's going on in the external world, or the internal authority, what's going on in your internal world. With emotional authority, the idea is that you want to take claim of the emotion that you're feeling, take that emotion somewhere where you can safely process it, meaning you're not going to have people judging you. You're not going to have people asking you questions and poking at you and trying to fix your emotional problems, right? Somewhere where you can actually go feel your emotions, because when it comes to emotional energy and emotional awareness, the only way through a storm, or the only way to get through a storm, is to go through the storm. You have to charge into the storm. And so when you have the emotional energy, a lot of the times people will think, oh, let me fix something that's going on in the external world. But with emotional authority, it's not about fixing anything in the external world. It's about addressing what's going on internally. And by addressing, I don't mean fixing the internal world. I mean accepting the way you feel about what's going on. Do you see it as projectors are meant to understand self more and generators are more leader mentality? Not necessarily, no, because it's like anyone can be a leader, anyone can understand things. The difference between projectors and generators is going to be your aura type, right? And so the aura type of a generator and a projector are they're both going to be absorbing, but whereas the generator is just absorbing, the projector is absorbing and focusing. So whoever the projector is around, they're going to absorb the energy of that person, and then they're going to want to focus that energy because that's naturally just what they can do. Earth to Aaron, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know their human design, just go to my website, reikimarco.com. King Divine, what's up? Reflector. I love reflectors. Well, because I am a reflector, but anyway, if you need a body graph, go to the website in my bio, reikimarco.com, and it'll spin up a chart for you. Is human design a psychology thing or more like astrology? It's a little bit of both, and this is why I like human design, is because human design is a very different system, right? Because it gives you a body graph, right? It gives you a chart to look at, but then it also is really up for interpretation in the sense of you're either going to experiment and watch yourself and attempt to like live out whatever the body graph says, and you're going to see for yourself how much more natural that is, or you're not going to do any of that, right? It's not about how you say resonating with your chart, right? It's not a list of qualities and things. It's what we're looking at is we're looking at what circumstances of neutrino streams did you come in through. And essentially the neutrino streams is it's this relatively new particle that science discovered not even 3 decades ago. Okay, it's a new particle that they found has the ability to move through objects and imprint on our actual DNA and our physical matter. And so again, this is what makes human design different is with is not just like a list of behavioral traits. These are actual particles moving through all life on the planet, and what it's doing is it's giving life an opportunity to mutate. And this is what's so cool about human design is, as wonderful and powerful of a system as human design is, it's still everyone is going to have their own interpretation of it. The magic of it is that even though you have your own interpretation of it, the fundamentals are still the same. How are we going to embody this information? Because we're not just going to like learn about it and that's going to help us. Understanding ourselves means ingraining this information into ourselves. Did you have a lot of contradiction in your design, or do you see that in one type or another? So, life in and of itself is contradicting. And this is what's cool. So, in human design, we have three awareness centers. We have the spleen over on the left side, that's survival awareness. We have the ajna, which is up in the head. This is mental awareness. This is also the five senses. This is taking account of the external world. And then we have emotional awareness, which is literally everything else, spirituality, etc. There's so much contradiction in the mind because when it comes to the mind, like the mind is a problem, the ajna, it's a problem solving mechanism, right? So it's going to create problems where there are none. That's why when you're up in your head, that's what tends to happen is there's always problems, they always need to be solved. When you're in your solar plexus, right? The solar plexus is all about truth, it's all about relationships, it's all about like actual truth, right? And so it's going to look for truth where there is mistruth. And the spleen is all about safety. So it's going to maybe again infuse something that is safe, totally safe, with elements of danger, so that you can preemptively just make sure this is clean, so that you can preemptively how you say or prepare for any possible dangers. So it's like this: the spleen uses fear to alert us to danger. The solar plexus, the emotional center, uses feelings and moods and nervousness to alert us to truth. And the ajna uses anxiety to alert us towards certainty, or to fuel certainty. And so there's going to be a lot of contradictions everybody's body graph because human beings are literally like the positive and negative held together by love and direction, right? And so when it comes to contradictions, the idea is really it's like you have a left hand and a right hand. That's a contradiction, right? You have a head and a booty hole. Like there's a continuous hole from your mouth to your anus. If you guys, I don't know if you knew that, but it's how do you hold and pressurize everything so that things are in harmony. And this is what human design helps us do. Is human design gives us a glimpse of what your body is like, what your the and the energetic signature of your body is, and then it's let us know, how do I harmonize this with the world around me? My crown is open, I'm getting it back. That makes a lot of sense. Awesome. Yeah, so it's like when it comes to contradictions, again, these are things that in the mental world, the mind wants to solve these, and how can these both be true? But in physical reality, it's like they're already true. You just have to discover the proper harmony. And if you think about music as well, because I'm a musician, I love music, I love making music, I appreciate music a lot. There's so much variety and there's so much dissonance in good music. The way that I learned so much about, I've been studying human design for coming up on 10 years now. So number one is time. But the way that I learned a lot about human design was, especially as a reflector, and it might be different for the other types, but I just watched people, and I knew their design, and I watched them either use their strategy and authority or fail to use their strategy and authority and encounter disasters. Usually is what happens when people don't follow their gut, or they don't wait for an invitation, for projectors or manifestors that don't initiate, or reflectors that don't wait 28 days. I definitely had a hard time implementing my strategy and finding a way to implement my strategy. But the more and more that I did it, the more I realized, okay, I'm just in the wrong environment. And again, that's what your strategy is here to help you do. Like, for instance, if you're a generator, right? And you're noticing like it's really hard to follow my strategy. It's like probably because there's a lot of ew things around you. So you're probably in the wrong environment. If you're a projector and you're like, I don't, nobody invites me to the things that I like or I want to do, it's probably because you're around the wrong people. And this is one of the things that you see a lot in society is people surrounding themselves with other people for the wrong reasons. I'm hanging around this girl because she's really pretty and popular, not because we have chemistry. I'm hanging around with this guy because he's really rich, not because he cares about me. So this is one of those things that's like you have to consider your environment. And as a reflector, I'm one being here that is a pure mirror of my environment, that is here to like let you guys know, like, you're not trees. You can move out of the environment that you're in. Unless you're literally chained in a basement, you can leave anything. And this is one thing as well that I like to give a power to, especially projectors, because I would say out of all of the I wish I was a tree. I sometimes wish I was a tree too, but then I'm like, I like actually like being a human being. Being a human being, because being a human being is like you get some really beautiful experiences, but then they're mixed in with some like really awful ones. And again, you get to hold them all, right? Wings would definitely be nice, but you get to hold all these things. And so part of what my work is to find ways to using human design as a map and and empowering yourself to explore that map with with what you have, right? It's not about getting new skills, or you don't even have to learn human design. You just have to learn what you already have, which human design shows you. So the more you learn about human design, the more you can realize what you already have. I was saying about projectors that they probably have one of the most empowering um strategies out there if you understand it properly. So the projector strategy is to wait for an invitation. A lot of people take this as, oh, okay, I'm just going to wait and not do anything until someone invites me. That's not what it means. What it means is that if you want to do things with other people, it's better if they invite you, meaning that you're very likely to end up in situations. If you initiate, if you're like, hey, I want to come on this trip with you, or hey, I want to be in this band with you, or hey, I want to do this with you, you're very likely to maybe end up in the band or end up on the vacation, but you're going to be bitter. You're going to be like, these people don't recognize me. I don't feel seen. I don't feel heard. I don't feel appreciated, etc. And you're going to think they're idiots and they're going to think you're annoying, right? So with the generators, it's similar. You have to wait for something to respond to, but it's not quite as exclusive as the projector. So, for instance, if you have a projector and a generator sitting in a room, this works for manifesting generators. Generators and manifesting generators have the same type. They're a little different, right? In terms of, like, I like to say, manifesting generators have like faster acceleration but like lower momentum. Generators have higher momentum but slower acceleration is a good way to put it. Manifesting generators are great with shortcuts and multitasking. Generators are great with a lot more like sustained activity and energy. But if you have a projector and a generator sitting in the same room and they both see an invitation, or they both see like a poster for a party, right? The generator could go, ooh, that is where the energy is going to come from for the generator. It's going to come from the, ooh, uh-huh. That's the sacral response that the generator experiences. That's there. If the generator goes like, yo, projector friend, this looks really fun. Do you want to come with me? That's an invitation. And it's even a better an invitation if it's like, yo, projector friend, you always know the best, like you always seem to like sync up with the people at the events. Do you want to come with me? They're recognizing the projector now. If the generator just goes, ooh, uh-huh, and the projector looks at it and goes, uh-huh, the projector is not going to feel invited just based off of their sacral response or the sacral response of their friend. And it's not going to validate that part of the projector that really needs to be validated in order for them to fully come online. Because the projector is here to be a guide, y'all. And as a guide, you don't want to guide people that don't want your guidance, right? Projectors in the chat, let me know if you've ever attempted to give someone advice without an invitation. Like you're just like, oh, I know exactly what this person needs to do. I'm going to go give them this advice. Why do I have this advice in my head if I'm not supposed to give it to them? You're met with, oh, cool, thanks. And then they don't follow it. Or you're met with, like, why are you telling me this? Or you're met with, why are you giving me unsolicited advice? They don't listen. And this is the thing. If you have people in your life that don't invite in your counsel, why do you have them in your life? And I don't mean to say that in a condescending way, like you're more than them, but genuinely consider, why is this person in your life if they don't invite you to participate in life with them? Genuine question. Yes, they're very resistant or dismissive or irritable. Exactly. So you want to avoid getting into situations like that, and that's what the strategy does. The strategy avoids helps you to avoid situations where now you are doing something that is not inherently like healthy or correct for you. And of course, vice versa. The strategy also is to help you get around people and get into situations that are correct for you. Now, the strategy is tempered with what's called an invitation, or sorry, an inner authority. Butterflies. I'm going to answer that real quick. So, what about an invitation to leave? Projectors, you do not need an invitation to leave. It will help because you may not even realize that you need to leave. But if you have some kind of emotional conflict, for the emotional authority people, if you have some kind of splenic reaction, like your throat gets tight or your head gets like foggy or your stomach starts to hurt or something like that, if you have some kind of like inkling that, hey, I'm not supposed to be here, I don't feel respected, I don't feel seen, you don't need an invitation to leave. Just leave, right? Strategy is here to help us enter into things that are correct for us, not leave things. And again, especially for projectors, I think it's very empowering to know that when it comes to the invitation, um, when it comes to the invitation, entering into things, that's when you need an invitation. But if you want to do something alone or just do something for yourself, just go do it. Right? If you have the energy to go do it, go do it. Now, when it comes to non-sacral beings, which projectors, manifestors, and reflectors are, don't expect to consistently have the energy to do the things that you think you need to do or that you want to do. Having undefined sacral energy means really that the sustained energy needed for activities, regular activities, is going to be inconsistent. Sometimes it'll be there, sometimes it won't be there. I feel like it's beneficial to let others know what wisdoms they have, but still wait for the invitation. Right. So I like doing this thing. I like telling projectors to experiment with this thing. And it's actually a sales technique, but it's called put it on the table, take it off the table. Right. Basically, what you do is you say, hey, man, I've been watching you and I've got some really helpful advice I think you would really benefit from. And then the person says, well, what is it? And you say, well, I can't tell you right now because that would be initiating this, but I just wanted to let you know I have something. Reach out to me tomorrow or someday after, and maybe we can arrange a time and sit down and talk about it. Because the thing about and why waiting for an invitation is important is because so much of the projector guiding energy and value is totally eliminated when they try and put it on you. Did I do another cliffhanger? My dad suffered in sales as a projector, very awkward. Right. So the thing about sales is like a projector doing sales is very different than like a manifester doing sales. Like a projector is going to have a much easier time with sales if they focus on the system that gets them the sales, not the actual like initiating the sales, but attracting people, finding qualified leads. And you can do this with the internet now, and it's wild how well you can do this. Um, but again, any type can do any job. Any type can do any career. But you're just gonna have to do it unique for your type. What about manifestors? I just made a video about manifestors, actually. Definitely go check it out. Transits. So what happens with transits is like transits are kind of like relationships. In a way, it's like when you're around somebody, your body graphs sync up or they desynchronize depending on what the actual chemistry is like. It's called a composite. Now the transits is the planetary movements And they are also going to hook up gates. They're going to define centers in your body graph that are not normally defined because of the transits. And what you can do during those transits, like there's a lot of people right now that normally do not have the defined root and the defined sacral, that because of the transits, because the Earth is in gate 3 and Pluto is in gate 60, there's a defined root and a defined sacral for like the entire planet right now, which is more stress and more sexual creative energy. So if you've been feeling extra stressed or extra sexual or extra creative, or maybe you're feeling like you don't know what to work on, or maybe you're feeling like you don't have enough creative energy, or you don't have enough sexual energy in your life, those are all results of the transit, because again, these are neutrinos that are moving through our system via the part of the sky that is holding this third gate and the 60th gate. Pluto is shining through the 60th gate, right? And the sun is shining through the third gate. And so when you have definition in centers that are normally undefined, the Pluto one is going to be there for a while. The third line, so that specific channel is going to break in like 2 days or a day, in between a day and 2 days. Which, if you have Neutrino Design, which is the app that I recommend for everyone that wants to do human design, Neutrino Design is the best. You can get it for 25% off via the link in my bio. It's the same app, it's the full experience. You can actually track the transits. You can add notifications to the transits, like when this turns on or when my definition changes, let me know. Because again, when your definition changes, what you want to do is just account for that extra energy. See if you can find it. And if you can't find it, where like find like discover what that means for you. Like maybe you're blocking it out, maybe there's nothing there and you're trying to make something there, maybe it's not that big of a deal, or it doesn't have that big of an impact on you, but you're trying to make it a big impact based off of your mind. Again, this is really about ultimately understanding the weather so that we can navigate better. It's like, why is it raining? Doesn't matter. Which direction do you need to go? The rain is distracting you, or the rain is pushing you off course, or the wind is pushing you off course. So it's about really understanding the weather for the context of I need to point myself in the right direction, which again, your strategy and authority will never change. So again, when your root is defined, there's extra stress. Don't let the extra stress distract you from your strategy and authority, your direction. So I have Neutrino Design. It's so helpful. Yes. Yeah. So the transit for Pluto, again, the further away the planet is from from the Earth, the longer the transit is going to be. And so there are some transits that last multiple years, like Pluto. So what is human design? I'm new. Welcome, welcome, Simi. What's that say? Simi snap. Uh, um, so human design is a metaphysical system of personal transformation that is specifically tailored to help us surrender to the bodies that we're in, and specifically the electromagnetics of the bodies that we're in. It gives us a kind of like a circuit board, or a blueprint of our energy. And based off of that, it's going to tell us things like how to make decisions for ourselves, how to resist being conditioned by external authorities, how to eat, what environment we should be in, what our destiny is, like what is our purpose in life, what our configuration is kind of like best suited for, as well as things like what are we going to value the most, what's our style of communication, how do we deal with conflict, right? How do we deal with our sense of justice or our sense of limitations? And so in the body graph, and all you have to do to get this information, by the way, is just visit my website, reikimarco.com, and just plug in your information. It'll pop you out a body graph. Now I have reports that I sell that I've made super affordable. One is $20, the other is $35. The $35 one would be the one I recommend because it comes with basically like an introduction to human design and like a list of techniques on how to embody your human design. And for the people that can't afford the $35 one, there's a $20 option that's available. Both both reports will go through all the aspects of your body graph and just give you the information plain as day. Now, what you do with that information, again, and in the report, it's like what you want to do with that information is look at it and then test it out for yourself. See if it works for you. And please conduct the test for longer than like 15 minutes. What is that? Dylanson, that was cool. Thanks, my friend. Is the very different from astrology and destiny matrix. It's a very different system. Yes, it contains components of chakras, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, astrology, and modern science. I got the first report thinking they were both different things. Oopsie, I would have gotten the second one. Mm, yeah, and I'm gonna if you have a situation like that where you wanted like the $35 report, but you got the $20 report not knowing that they were different, just email me, and I'll refund you the first one if you get the $35 one. I'm not here to like rip people off like that. In so many ways, like I really just want this information to be accessible because like we don't have a lot of time if you really think about it, right? Like we're not here forever. And not only that, but it's like we don't know when the internet is going to disappear. So it's like have this information, have it printed out. And not that I'm trying to like doomsday or doomsay, but if the internet gets fried, it's like you now no longer have access to this kinds of information. So yeah, I see our hanging gates. Are they hanging gates, aka not part of a chat? Oh, you guys are chatting about some things. Leah, I love it. Human design is seriously the best life level up. It really is. And you know, I guys, I've been studying spirituality for like almost 13 years now, guys. And you know, thankfully I was introduced pretty young. Uh I've always been hungry for like what is like the best system out there, and there's so many things: numerology, astrology, Vedic astrology, just to say genetic metrics, dream keys, Enneagram, personality. You know, there's so many things out there. I've looked at them all, and human design is my favorite. It's my favorite. My website is called reikimarco.com, REIKI Go. Adrian, what's up? I just saw your hand there. Agreed. Yeah. And another thing too is it's like human design is not for everybody. Not everybody is going to like use human design or resonate with the language of it. And human design is not one of those things that it's like, again, it needs people to believe in it for it to be strong. Because genuinely, like I could be the only person that knows about human design and it would still work for me, even if I was the only person on the planet. Now that would be a disservice because if it works for me, who else can it work for? Everybody that I've introduced this to that starts to use strategy and authority, it's not that their lives are devoid of suffering or pain, but they navigate that suffering and pain differently than they did before learning about human design, which is incredibly helpful. And again, human design is great for anybody at any level. Morgs, what are you talking about? Name all those again. Which one? It gave me permission to say no, Misty Bab. So like, and again, especially with the simple things, guys, and especially with like spirituality, because there's so many people, charlatans really, that have like, like did ayahuasca last year and now are spiritual coaches. I've been doing this for over a decade, 12, 13, almost 13 years, guys, of helping people primarily with Reiki. And Reiki, as you can say, is in my opinion, one of the most like vanilla energy healing modalities ever. And it's also one of the most powerful. Reiki is a Japanese relaxation based healing modality of just like gently holding space for people in a space of compassion and acceptance. It's love and truth directed by the hands. Um, so strategy and authority are the basic work to start incorporating it. Yes, exactly. How do you go about studying human design? Is there a program you recommend? So the start with a report, and I would say start with my Reiki report because it will give you the introduction to human design that I would recommend in terms of how to use human design, because it really is a, you can go to school with the Jovian archive and learn all about human design. That will be really helpful. They have live your design courses where you'll have a coach, but truly, you don't really need to do any of that. All you need to do is just get my report, and then for the next year or so, just like start to incorporate it into your life and really start experimenting with primarily your strategy and authority. But then as you get more comfortable with your strategy and authority, just start to look at your profile and your digestion and your environment. And again, it's kind of like tuning a guitar, right? So for instance, if you just started playing, which someone asked about music, which thank you, I saw that, but I didn't answer it. I like right now I'm really enjoying playing like classical music or music from animes, which maybe I'll play a song for you guys at some point in the live. I'm learning how to play Howl's Moving Castle on guitar, so maybe I'll play that. Um, but anyway, the shoot, what was I talking about? It's like tuning a guitar. And so when it comes to human design, what you're going to do is you're going to see your body graph and you're going to be like, okay, what is this? Strategy and authority are going to be the first things that you need to attune to, right? In the sense that when you're tuning a string on a guitar, if you've never tuned a guitar before, and you're tuning the string, like I need to get this string to A, but I don't know what A is. Your human designed report is going to be your tuner. It's going to let you know, like, oh, you had 10 decisions to make today, and then you only made 5 of those decisions using your strategy and authority, right? Okay, so next tomorrow, if I have 10 decisions, I want to get better. I want to make 6 decisions using my strategy and authority. Ra, the guy that created human design, was a musician, a guitarist, which is kind of cool. But here's the thing is when you start tuning your guitar, you have to, regardless of how good at guitar you are, you will always have to tune your guitar, right? Because you might play a song really well, you might know all the frets to press, but if your guitar is not tuned, it's not going to sound right. And so having a tuner and having the awareness, okay, every day I wake up, I need to eat food. Every day I wake up, I need to wash my face, brush my teeth, take care of myself, take care of my health, mental, emotional, etc. Every time you play your guitar, every time you use your body, your vehicle, it should be tuned. To what exactly? Well, that's what your body graph is here for. I'm definitely into solfeggio frequencies and sound healing. So I spent a lot of time as a sound healer. I would like travel around. I actually traveled around the country, not necessarily the world, although I have been outside of the United States doing this. But I've traveled around doing sound healing, specifically with like didgeridoos and handpans. Um, yeah, and I love Howl's Moving Castle as well. It's so good. And yeah, so it's like when it comes to frequency, the idea is that our bodies are manifesting machines. Like they're manifesting constantly, especially because when we're in collaboration with other individuals, there's a lot of manifestation that happens kind of under the radar. Human design is a way of basically being able to like track and take account of what is it we're manifesting, and specifically what we want to do is we want to become aware of where we're manifesting our signature, like the unique parts of ourselves, and where we're manifesting something else, right? And there's nothing wrong with manifesting something else unless you're never manifesting your signature. Because here's the thing, every satisfied person feels a little bit of frustration, every successful person feels a little bit of bitterness, right? You have to have a little bit of your not self involved because otherwise there's no way to course correct. But if you are constantly in bitterness, you're constantly in frustration, right? It's simply because your instrument is not tuned, right? And this is what I'm helping to do is I'm giving you guys the tuner. You have to tune it. You have to tune yourself, but I'm giving you guys the tuner. I guess technically I'm selling you guys the tuner, but some people want to sell you a tuner for like $3,000 in the form of a transformational retreat. And not that those are not good, okay? But if you're going to spend $3,000 on a retreat or a medicine experience, first spend $35 and a month following your strategy and authority. First do that, because they will also help you when you go to the retreat. And for instance, like there's a lot of things in and I've been in the retreat space for a long time. And so I know what I'm talking about in terms of a lot of the things that we do on retreats are essentially useless because people go back to their normal lives and they have no way of integrating the things that they learned on the retreat. Human design will, it's literally, how do you integrate your consciousness and your soul into your body? And the $35 report will definitely help lay a foundation for the retreats. That way you're not wondering like, man, how come no one invites me to like come have dinner with them? It's like, oh, you're a manifester. You have to initiate and let them know, hey, can I have dinner with you? I'd like to have dinner with you. So I used astrology, tarot, and healing work with crystals and stones. It will make all of that better. Bro, yes, I just be collecting info. Exactly. Emotion is energy in motion. Yes. So one thing that's also really important, guys, is like, being spiritual and doing spiritual things, it doesn't make you better than anybody else. The only thing that it does for you is it makes you more aware so that you can be more compassionate and more understanding of other people and yourself. That's all it does. It doesn't make you more valuable of a human being. Um, Other than the fact that you're able to bring more of your compassion and bring more of your awareness into the world. That's what in my opinion we are here as human beings to bring more compassion and more awareness and more understanding into the world. Now that starts with ourselves. And again, if you don't have any base in in spirituality or anything, human design again is my favorite place to start, because it's just like this. It starts at the beginning, starts with your birth, right? Are you a manifestor or projector? I am neither. I am actually a reflector, which reflectors represent only 1% of the population. We're pretty rare. And a lot of us don't really actually make it to maturity, because naturally, reflectors reflecting the world around them, we are the most susceptible to being conditioned by the external world. So a lot of us go crazy, are addicted to sex or drugs or something. Um, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like, wow, I learned about Reiki and human design in my early 20s. And because of that, I feel like I saved myself from a lot of experiences that would have turned me into something that I'm not. And so the fact that I'm here, guys, is I'm hopefully extending, in board games when you like land on like a shortcut and instead of having to go like 30 spaces all around, you just like shoots and ladders. I'm trying to make ladders for y'all, right? But some of y'all need some shoots. Some of y'all are more advanced than you think you are, and you need to be humbled because you have a ceiling over your head because of how advanced you think you are. And you're working on the wrong things. And again, human design, if you and me are to sit down and look at your human design, and I'm going to get to know you. And I have a session later in an hour ish where I'm going to do that for someone. I'm going to sit down with them and we're going to look at their body graph, and I'm going to tell them, all right, you're here, but you think you're here and you're moving in this direction, which is the wrong direction. You think it's the right direction because of this. But anyway, I do one-on-ones, guys, and there's a lot of energy in here. And so it's really fun to do these because it's kind of like a little fiesta. It's like my, I'm like a magician right here. But the benefit of going deep with a reflector is really going to be in my ability to let you know where you're at, right? Because for instance, if you're in the south and you want to move further south, but you think you're in the east, right? Moving south is not actually going to move you in the direction that you want to move, right? You're going to be over to the right. You're going to go down and you're not going to get to where you want to go. So figuring out where you actually are is so important. And again, that's kind of the service that I offer. So my sessions are $177, and you can book them via the link in my bio. It'll take you to a calendar page. It'll ask for all your information. The sessions come with a report. So if you want a report and you're not, how you say, and you want a session, don't buy the report. Just get the session because the session will come with the report. And this is why, and this is the reason why I how you say, make them that price, is because for me to operate in other people's energy, that's that takes energy from me. This doing this, not only is this like helpful because it's we're fulfilling the goal of the business, which is to introduce people to human design, give them the resources necessary. That's part of my livelihood, but it's like a broader energy, right? For us to go one on one, it's a special type of container. And Crone, I can definitely do relationship readings. I can do readings for two people. I can also do readings for groups of 3 to 5. Like if you have a small business, I can do that. Or if you have a family, I can do that. Oh, I do not think highly, but more. I'm eternally seeking and learning new things. Yes. I'm going to book a one-on-one session with you. Thank you. Keely, I'm so excited. And this is another reason why I did it because, you know, I'm the same here as on TikTok, as Instagram, as YouTube, as in my own life, and that has taken work. Okay, I used to be a lot more, how you say, not necessarily camera shy, but I was a little bit more of a different part of me would come out when the camera is on me. And there's definitely like a part of me that interacts with TikTok that's different than like my casual conversations. But in terms of intention and energy and my ability to maintain my composure and my sense of center, regardless of what's going on around me, this is what, again, part of my teaching is going to teach you how to maintain your own integrity regardless of what's going on. So Jasmine, there's not going to be a cheaper option for you. However, anyone that already has their report, I'm open to generating you a report for somebody in your life, like maybe your partner or your children or your animals, even, um, and giving you that as a gift as well. So, because I know there are people that have bought reports and want to do sessions. Um, you're definitely going to get you're going to get a report during the session, whether it's yours or for somebody else. Birth time does matter, yes. And so for anyone that doesn't know their birth time, what I would recommend doing is download Neutrino Design, do it through the link in my bio because you get 25% off. Enter your time at 12 o'clock in Neutrino Design if you don't know the birth time. In the app, there's a slider that says changes within 12 hours that will show you all of the subtle changes that are going to happen during that day. So you can discern, like, oh, nothing really changes, right? No center definition changes, no strategy changes, no authority changes. You have a It's like, oh, you're pretty much a generator. Now sometimes you might have a situation where there's like, excuse me, um, for the first half of the day, it's a manifester. For the second half of the day, it's a projector. What do you do with that? Well, here's what you do: you experiment. Now, there is a feature on Neutrino Design that they just introduced, which is really cool. It's called birth time rectification. It asks you some questions and then it'll give you the most likely window. However, that is somewhat flawed because who you think you are may not be who you actually are. Felicity, what's up? Um, Welcome. Who you actually are, right, might be the opposite of who you think you are. And so this is what I recommend you do. If you don't know your birth time and you do the birth time rectification, experiment with whatever body graph it gives you. But if there's like a manifester on the other side of, like, you know, before noon, you're a manifester, afternoon, you're a projector, I would experiment with both. I would spend a month not doing anything, waiting for invitations. Then I would spend a month initiating and see which one works better. How do transits work in comparison to your chart? They're like composites. It's like you have a ghost or a friend around that's providing you these extra gates to use, but eventually they're going to go away. I heard people born at night like to wake up early. I don't that's a pretty broad generalization. Again, might be true for some people, might not be true. Those kinds of things, to me, are fun to experiment with, but I don't necessarily, I make decisions for myself and I teach my clients as well, make decisions based off of, how you say, your own experience that is flavored by the external authority. It's like the external authority should be the cherry on top, but your experience is really one of the most valuable things that you can have. So yes, I have a lot of reflectors here. Um, I think probably just because I am a reflector, which is awesome. Mm. So it doesn't it should the if you ordered a report, it should be like it should take you to the web page that has your report, download it, or it will email it to you as well. Check your spam folder, it might be in there. I also have a Discord for anybody that wants to participate in kind of like an online community. Who is this flying flyer than Aladdin's whip, which is it's a great name. Oh my god, the Discord is great. That's just like a again a simple community space for people to get together and talk about human design. That's a free space. I also have a more exclusive space called the Archive, which is also there's a lot of there's not as much discussion happening in there, but that's where my courses are posted. The courses are not necessarily on human design; they're more along the lines of like physical movement and movement practices around walking, running, and throwing, which the style of movement training that I do is called biomechanics, which is literally how life operates, particularly in with a focus on like what are the primary movements, what are the golden movements that human beings do, which is walking, running, throwing, sitting, and standing, right? What is the best way to move as a human being? So, hopefully, Sadie, what's up? So the tea I'm drinking is this is some pu'er, which I'm gonna heat it up again. Um, which is black tea. There's definitely lizards on the walls. I have a lot of how you say there's a lot of lizard activity going on here. Just because we're in the jungle. So what's the main difference between waiting to respond and waiting for an invitation, Amara? Great question. So the difference is very simple. This is a sacral response. Ooh. Mm. That alone for a generator is enough to do the thing, right? The Discord is on my website. Um, for the invitation, there has to be some kind of like recognition or a space created, right? You can think of it like this: if there's a car leaving to go to the grocery store, an invitation is, "Hey, do you want to come to the grocery store?" Something to respond to is, we're going to the grocery store right now, hop in, right? Because when someone says hop in, you might be like, or like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna hop in. That's not an invitation though. Telling somebody to do something is not an invitation, right? So when it comes to invitations, you want to look for two things. Number one is an actual invitation. Hey, there's a seat in the car for you if you want it. It's a question. It's a choice. I'm giving you the choice. The second thing is recognition, right? Because you can be invited by people that don't recognize your specific and unique abilities or your unique design. Those are going to be less valuable and less correct for you than people who actually look and can see what it is that you offer. So for instance, there's a bunch of different channels in human design, bunch of different projected channels that you can have as a projector. For instance, if you have the channel of struggle. You want to accept invitations from people who are able to recognize your struggle. If you have the projected channel of judgment, you want to accept invitations from people that recognize your judgment. See what I mean? Does the invitation always need to be a physical invitation? I would say for projectors that are starting out, it's better to start out looking for physical invitations. The reason being is that you might misinterpret an energetic invitation and unintentionally initiate something, which that would be a valuable lesson for you as well. The channels come from your human design. So if you don't have your body graph, just generate one on my website, and it'll tell you all of the connections between the centers. Those are the channels. Now you get access to what the channels are, the details of the channels, how they show up in your life via one of the reports. But you could also just look at the channel, look at the numbers that are there, like the 1222, and just look it up online. If you're really strapped for cash, you could do that. And if you're really strapped for cash and you're like, Marco, I think this report could really help me out, just reach out to me. Again, I'm not a Scrooge. If you do have the means to get a report, again, there's a $20 report that will just do the analysis of your body graph. Then there's the $35 report that will like kind of overlay my system on top of human design. And again, I made them affordable because like I just think this information needs to be out there. So what channel do I look for when accepting the invitation? So whichever channel you have, that's going to be the one that you essentially want recognized, because that's going to be the most consistent expression for you, or rather is going to naturally be the most consistent expression for you. So that's going to be the thing that it's like, I'm bringing this to the party every time. You know, it's like you have a like a potluck. You bring a dish that everybody loves every time. You bring the same dish. Okay, might seem monotonous, but really what's happening is that you're introducing people to what you can consistently do for them. As projectors, they're here to be guides. They're here to master step-by-step systems and walk people through these systems. And so it's very important for you to actually have mastery as a projector over something. You know what I mean? And don't worry if it's like, oh, it's super obscure, like I know how to propagate cuttings from plants. Cool. Dial that in and become the master of that, and then show people how to do that. Like the idea is that when you rely on your gifts, your natural born gifts, they will take care of you. It's funny, say, do you know how to do that, right? How can you recognize for the channel of awakening that channel is confusing? Right. So awakening, I believe, is that's going to be the 3410. Is that right? Let me verify real quick. The channel of awakening. I think it's, let's see, 3410. $10.20. Got it. Okay. So awakening, it's a non-motorized channel. So in the sense of when people are able to recognize that you are as an individual awakening, and you're able to, like, when people can recognize you for recognizing yourself, that's kind of what it is. Because the 10 is behavior of the self, the 12 is like the voice of the now. So it's being able to recognize like, oh, this is me, I'm moving in the right direction, or I'm waking up, or I'm falling asleep, I'm slipping, right? What just happened? Oh, 50% of the goal. You guys rock. Thank you for all the lightning bolts. By the way, also, there are videos that I post here on TikTok that only subscribers can see. I'm also able to see who's a subscriber in here. So if you guys want to, how you say, get access to some of those videos, it's not nearly as how you say, comprehensive as the archive, which is kind of like my primary community. But it is access to some, how you say, extra content, especially here on TikTok. And then it's helpful for these lives because I definitely pay attention to who's got the subscriber, because you guys are directly contributing to, even though it's only like $6-7 a month, you're directly contributing to me being able to like focus on my studies and bring all of this through. The Discord is more of a free community. I do have subscriptions on Discord as well, but again, it's more of like a Patreon kind of thing, just like you guys are being able to support me, not necessarily like getting exclusive deals or any information. But the Discord is a great place for conversations, casual conversations, any of that. The Discord is via the link in my bio. So if you go to reikimarco.com and you scroll down a little bit, you'll be able to see the Discord. So projected channels are any channels that are not connected to the sacral, and any channels that are not going from the throat to one of the motor centers. So that would be the sacral, the, hold on, I have to verify that I'm not a robot. So that's going to be any manifested channels are anything like the 1222, the 3536, anything from the throat to the solar plexus, the heart, the or the sacral or the root are going to be, which there's none that go directly to the root. Say your team has completed the first stage of the team quest. Team cheers have been unlocked for team members to send and celebrate. What does that mean? I don't know, but that's awesome. Way to go, team. I haven't spoken about this in a while. for everyone that's in here watching right now, whether you've been tapping the screen or sending gifts or sharing the live or whatever, even if you're just absorbing this information and like you're interested in it and you're curious about it, whether you get a report, book a session, doesn't matter. If you're engaging with this, thank you. You are part of a greater move. You're part of the awakening of the collective. Okay. Understand that the most important thing, the most valuable gift that you can give to me and the world is the gift of yourself, right? The gift of your essence, whether that's your success, your satisfaction, your peace, or your surprise, your signature. And human design will show you exactly what your signature is and how to manifest it. That is the most valuable thing you can give to the world because it will manifest, it will evolve into a business, it will evolve into a creative project, it will evolve into a relationship, it will evolve into a family. And that is, and your ability to manifest that is the most important thing in my opinion. If you don't like Marco, you're just wrong. But anyway, thank you guys because there's so many things going on this app that in my opinion are uh shitty. They suck. They're not grounded in any kind of real form of education or really are like that entertaining, right? And so it's just really, it means a lot to me that you guys are here and primarily that you guys are using this information to again manifest your essence and manifest your life because that I don't want to live in a life full of clones. Okay. I don't want to do that or NPCs. And again, you guys just being here, we're part of a movement. Ultimately, the ultimate goal is to get this live and get this channel up to the point where we can compete with like the top guys that are just doing NPC stuff and blah blah blah. So I do if you book a session with me, I go in through the report, but I don't necessarily just like go through and list off the report with you. I'm here to actually like get to know you a little bit and give you a and exactly zap you into like, hey, here are the areas to work on. Here's where you're a little bit avoidant of things. I'm here to help you overcome the inertia of your own ignorance as a how you say objective party. That's kind of what I'm here to do. All right, let's set a new goal. What should we? Soulful Sadie, Dylan, Sean, the Phil Effect, and Leah Zion. You guys are top of the lobby over here. Let's go with baby penguins. Let's go with 100 baby penguins. Bingo. Okay. For anyone that's sending baby penguins. So which one is it on your website? So if you scroll down past the body graph generator, you'll see a picture of my face, like looking really spiritual with my holsters on. And then you'll see the sessions available. So I have personal sessions, which just one-on-one. I have relationship sessions where, well, let's say like you and your partner, or you and your child, or you and your boss, or you and your business partner. I can look at the dynamic between the two of you and let you know where, hey, there's going to be conflict here, there's going to be chemistry here, and this is some things that you can expect. But these are the things to look out for, right? Dang, Onion just soloed the team. Did you just Onion, you rock. I think this is the first time I've seen a picture of you. Is that right? Normally, Onion and Soulful Sadie, you guys are absolute legends. All right, let's do something a little harder. Let's do ooh, the Aurora postcard. My daughter's name is Aurora. That's not harder, but it's um it's a new goal. So let's go. Onion is going off. Um Yeah. So again, there's a calendar on my website that will help you book sessions. And also, this is really helpful for any like individuals that are wanting to start a business. Those personal readings can like be business readings, right? And in the sense that it's like knowing how your type is going to influence the best way for you to run a business, regardless of what it is. It's just going to save you a lot of time and energy. Love the house bus. Thank you very much. I have a subscriber only video where I give like a pretty in-depth tour of the bus. This tea is popping right now, guys. I am so lit. Is it a HD personal reflection? Yes, that's it. That's the one-on-one. So I'm drinking Pu'er. Onion, love you too. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Always I get lit up when I see you. I get to feel you in the chat. So have a lovely day. Cheers. Aloha. But this is black tea, and I'm specifically doing it Gong Fu style. So it's like, people a lot of the times they're like, oh, my the tea is the cup never ends. You just keep it's just how much tea is in that cup. But anyway, is the 1333 projected channel? Yes, it is. So anytime you have a channel that's not connected to to a to either the sacral or one of the motor centers and the throat, it's going to be a projected channel. Again, this is they're not energized, right? Um, uh, Pop Dragon. So if you don't have if you can't use PayPal, I'm still trying to figure this one out. There'll be a more streamlined way to do this. But if you want to pay with PayPal, just email me with your birth time, date, and location, and then I'll send you my PayPal link. Once you make the payment, I'll generate your body graph and just send it to you manually. Normally, if you just pay with a credit card, it'll just generate manually or automatically and send to you. um, yeah. So do you provide audio message instead of a call? I actually record the entire thing semi-snap, so you have a visual and an audio reference for it. If that's what you're asking, we do not have to be on video, although that is helpful just for me to be able to kind of like read facial cues and do my reflector thing. So it's beneficial, but if you're not comfortable with that, I have no problem with just doing like a voice call if that's what you mean, or an audio message. I can also at someone's request. I prefer to do live one-on-ones because that's where my reflectorness really comes alive. But if you just want like a recording of me talking about the things that are most important for your body graph based off your report, and you want to pay for a live session, but have it be that, I can do that as well. Just email me, reikimastermarco@gmail.com. What gates or crosses suggest a person would be a good candidate to be an HD professional? Honestly, anybody can be an HD professional. Like, and what I mean by that is like you being the best version of yourself and manifesting, like if you're a generator, manifesting your signature or something like that. So what do you have, Pop Dragon? Just email me and let me know what payment structure you do have, and we'll get it figured out. I can definitely help you out. I can do that today as well. Um, but if anyone is, again, wanting to be a human design professional, the very first things that you need to do is like really like experiment with this system for at least a year and a half. I encourage people not to go into being a human design professional before a year and a half, simply because you're just going to create more problems and distractions for yourself. That's going to actually push your capacity and your potential further away from you. Like, as a human design professional, I didn't become a professional until I was 7 years into the experiment. And I did that because in classical human design, the deconditioning process, in order to see all of the ways that you're conditioned, it takes at least 7 years, right? I say 18 months because, with my mentality, if you're in the archive, if you're working with me personally, I can take what usually takes 7 years and bring it down into 18 months because I've done the 7 years thing. And it's really, if you have someone to just like check you every month, which is what I can do for you, you can take what takes 7 years and bring it down into 18 months. Tara, I can't afford a session at the moment, but I bought a report, printing it right now. Print out your reports so you can write on them. So you have it in case your internet goes down. You'll always have that. And so, great. I'm looking forward to the time when we can get reports. Also, again, guys, if you want access to me, I have subscriptions here on TikTok. Every now and then, I'll do a subscriber only live, and we'll be able to get a little bit more intimate with each other. So, there are ways to access my time and my energy through my subscriptions, through the different platforms that I offer, through the archive, which again is another subscription, and you can access me. And so if you can't pay for a one-on-one, that's totally fine. Again, there are other ways to access me. Thank you for saying that. I got introduced to HD 2 years ago after I started deconditioning. Jess. Jess. So again, the deconditioning process, and it's rather misleading because deconditioning implies that we're removing conditioning, which in fact we're not removing anything. We're taking account for the conditioning that we have, and then we are conditioning ourselves to our own strategy and authority, right? So we're, instead of being conditioned to other people's way of doing things, you're conditioning yourself to prioritize your way of doing things. Because no matter where you go or what group you're in, you will always be a part of that group. Doesn't mean that you're always going to be right. Like if you have the channel of judgment or the channel of awakening, doesn't mean that your awakening is always right or your judgments are always right, but it means that they are yours. You understand what I mean? Like you're bringing your judgment, you're bringing your path of awakening, and it eliminates the guessing game, because now it's just like, well, how well is this received, or how much is it resisted? Because a lot of people are attempting to bring themselves online in an environment that is inherently resistant to them. Don't do that. That's what your strategy will help get you away. Starmuse trying to find the file to print. If so, it will be emailed to you as well. The link will be emailed to you as well, so you can print it from there. Would you be interested in some sort of energy exchange? I'm open to it. I don't necessarily do energy exchanges all that often. Again, if you have a request like that, feel free to get into my inbox either through the DMs, although I prefer the email, reikimastermarco@gmail.com. That will get to me a lot sooner, and we'll be able to keep track of it a lot better. But I'm open. I'm open. I'm never going to say no to anything, but I do say no to a lot of trades just because um, that's just how I work. So anyway, how can you apply channel 1333 to the projector invitations you were talking about earlier? So 1333 is all about privacy and fellowship, right? It's about knowing what secrets to keep. It's about being a confidant. It's about being trustworthy. Ultimately, it's about being able to like having an identity that is worth walking with in the days to come, in the future. And so the way that you apply that, what did you ask to apply that to? So when it comes to invitations, for instance, people that are able to recognize you as a friend, your trustworthiness, your ability, your discernment when it comes to sharing things, those that's the kind of recognition that you're looking for. If you have the 1333, you're looking for people to say like, I really feel like I can trust you, or you're definitely someone that I really want to be with in the days moving forward. The people that can identify that, those are going to be your people, and they may not even know about human design, because again, trust, right? And this is different than leadership. If you look on, so the 1333 is between the G center and the throat, and it's over here on the right side of the body graph. So it's on the right side of sorry, going to be the left side of the human body, but the right side of the body graph. On the right side of the body graph, you're looking at the 1333. On the other side of the body graph, the same connection between the G center and the throat, you have the 731. This one is about influence and planning. So for this person, this 31-7, your recognition is going to come by way of people saying, hey, you have really good plans, or you have a lot of influence. You're a great leader, that kind of stuff. Over here, it's, hey, you're someone that I trust. You're someone that is really good at keeping secrets, or you're someone that's really good at knowing which secrets to keep. It's, again, there are different flavors of recognition, but they're very specific. And again, the more specific we can be, the more we can narrow down which people are my people and which people are just in transit. Could my stubbornness be a part of not knowing when enough is enough? Probably. Although one of the things that I would say is, in terms of stubbornness, it's, stubbornness is not necessarily a bad thing. It's, you just have to be really mindful about what you're being stubborn about, because I'm very stubborn when it comes to what things I'm gonna do. Right? Like if someone asks me to do a retreat and they're like, "Dude, you're the best at this." They recognize me, but they don't give me enough time to make a decision. unfortunately, I'm like, look, I appreciate all the recognition and praise, but I need time to figure out if I'm going to do something. And the people that are like I had, for instance, Jonah Dempsey, who is someone that I very, very highly respect and value in the human design space. He invited me to come to Human Design High Desert, which was an event in New Mexico that they were hosting. And I was very excited to receive that invitation. But I knew, okay, I'm going to have to wait my 28 days, wait it out. I was very excited for the first couple weeks. And then the latter half of the lunar cycle, it became clear to me that I'm not going to go. And it wasn't having to do anything with like, oh, I didn't think the event was cool or I didn't have the resources. It was just through my own allowing myself the time to breathe with it and feel into it. I knew that that wasn't the path for me, that there was something more important for me to be doing. During that time I would have been at the event here in Maui at home, and there definitely was. I will say that. Just got a report. Yes. So Cresselia, yeah, what are you being stubborn about? Because what you're talking about is, in terms of not knowing when enough is enough, you're talking about the undefined sacral, which, if you have an undefined sacral, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, it can be challenging to know when enough is enough. Or if you even have the energy to do something, right? Um, when your stubbornness comes out again, and it's like it human design gives us all like permission to be these, like, investigators of our own lives. Like, how well am I being myself, or how shitty am I being myself? So asking the questions like, where does the stubbornness come out? Again, you're narrowing it down, because if you can get into, for instance, it's like, oh, it comes from not knowing when enough is enough, which sounds like you've done some of that work. One of the things that you have to ask yourself is, okay, who's enough are you is ringing in your sacral? Like, who are you trying to keep up with? Whose sexual creative energy are you trying to match? That would be the question. Why are you being stubborn? Well, I'm being stubborn because I want to match this person's energy. And you have to be very brutally honest with yourself. So anyway, I have two connected channels, one, both gates connected, two hanging gates connected. Yeah, so we're all going to have a variety of channels and hanging gates, which hanging gates are very interesting because a lot of the time people will get caught up in the part of the gate that they don't have, right? And it's I like to call it falling in the gaps, right? Which is the same as like, well, I have this half of the bridge but I don't have the other half of the bridge, so this half of the bridge is useless. Not true. When you have a hanging gate, it's like opportunity. That's what you would call potential, but the potential is not unearthed until it has the other part of the gate. So if you have the 22 like I do but not the 12, instead of focusing on when am I supposed to be cautious, when am I supposed to not be I just focus on being open. And I recognize that sometimes it's a little bit, how you say, third line one. Sometimes that's my openness is not necessarily going to always be appropriate, but rather than suffocating my openness because of the gap that I have, because it's a hanging gate, right, or technically it's a dormant gate, I just let myself be open. And I just learn through trial and error. So again, versus in the given the choice between focusing your awareness and developing the hanging gate or the gate that you don't have, develop the hanging gate, not the gate that you don't have. Let's see. I'm an emotional projector and energy a projector, probably my whole family, right? And also raised around people with defined egos, and mine is undefined, right? So trying to prove yourself, not knowing when enough is enough, it's like competing, and I think I just said it there. It's like, who are you trying to compete with? And if you can identify who you're trying to compete with, and check this out, and this is an exercise actually that I've kind of been exploring. I've been talking to some of the projectors in my life about it. Um, but essentially, it's like a reverse manifestation invitation. What you're going to do is you're going to write letters to all the people in your family that you are having competition with, and you're going to write them brutally honest things. And I'm talking like, write the thing that you're so embarrassed to tell them that you would never actually tell it to them. And fast forward, you're not going to send these letters to them. But for instance, for you, Celia, one thing that you could do is you can write a letter to like your mother, telling her you're not going to compete with her for your father's affection and approval. I'm not going to compete with you for who is, the most nurturing, or etc. Write all of that stuff out. And then at the end of it, you're just going to burn it. Right. Or you can give it to the ocean, right? Or you can bury it, right? But what you're going to do is you're going to like release that energy from your system by way of writing it out. Because one thing this will do is will make you more aware, and also hopefully give you an opportunity to catch yourself in like, whoa, I didn't realize that I was competing in that way, which is powerful for writing. My whole family are generators with defined sacrals. I'm a manifester with a defined heart. Right on. So it's like for generators, they're all trying to satisfy themselves. For a manifester, exactly, you're not trying to satisfy yourself. Your energy is not here to achieve satisfaction. You are here to achieve peace in the world, and specifically like achieve peace, right? Yes, but it's more like I've been melancholic because of not being seen. So in these manifestations, you can let them know how you actually feel. I feel like you don't see me even though I'm doing this. Again, part of the writing exercise is like the value of the writing exercise is 10% what you know, 90% what you don't know, right? In the sense that it's like when you're writing, include all the details in there. Tell them how it's been feeling. You might not even recognize the depth of that melancholy because you've been holding back sharing something with somebody because there's not an invitation. And this is a huge like invitation for everybody. If you have something that you want to say to somebody, but there's not a space to say it, don't let that stop you. I'm not saying call them up and tell them all the shit you need to tell them. What I'm saying is write a letter to them, or talk to an item as though it's your father and tell him, I hate you and I can't believe, especially for emotional people, like allow that energy to be manifested, but you don't need the other person around. They don't need to hear it, but you need to say it. I'm satisfying them. Lol, I told my husband he never sees me. It's exhausting. Right. And so one of the things is like when you are able to acknowledge the resentment and acknowledge that, because and it's really for projectors, it's bitterness, right? I think I saw you in St. John's music video. That wasn't me, but I know who St. John is, and that's funny. Actually, there's quite a few songs that I really really love by St. John. Um, but anyway, I wasn't in any music video. That's funny though. I'm gonna go watch it. Which one was it? Yeah, because it's like here. So back to what I was saying is like with projectors, and again, I think projectors and generators have some of the most beautiful synergy, right? If they can actually recognize each other. And the thing about a generator projector relationship is it takes the generator seeing the projector for there to be awareness, but it also takes the projector releasing the generator from their expectations for the relationship to be fruitful. Ultimately, it's not judging each other based off of the metrics that you judge yourself by. Understanding that we all have different metrics that we're going to judge ourselves by, and that just because it applies to me and it's relevant for me doesn't mean it's going to be relevant for you. And in fact, most likely, it's not relevant for you. So being able to see clearly, like, oh, I'm tuning to an A in 440, you're tuning to an A in 432. For any of the musicians, hopefully that made sense. Um, that's that's what you want to do. You don't want to like grab a tuner that is specifically tuned for another instrument and try and tune your own instrument. So I've heard gate 12 be called the noticeable voice. What does that mean? So gate 12 is the voice of caution, right? It's knowing like what to share or when to be cautious with sharing things. So when it comes to noticing, right, or the noticeable voice, what they're talking about is like when to turn the spotlight on yourself and when to not attract the spotlight, because one of the elements of manifestation is having the manifestation recognized. Now 12 is part of individual circuitry, meaning, hey, I stand out, I'm different than everyone else. As opposed to the 35 is this is what everyone can learn from, right? This is the voice of progress. The voice 12 is and when you have the defined 12, it's in a defined throat. It's the I know when I want the spotlight on me, I know when I'm not supposed to have the spotlight on me. So if you have a hanging 12, it's either in a defined throat, meaning you will typically have that I know when I'm supposed to be in the spotlight and I know when I'm not supposed to be in the spotlight. I know when to be cautious. I know when to take a not necessarily take a risk, but I know when to be cautious and I know when to be open, right? Though if you don't have the 12, actually being open can be challenging. But if it's in the undefined, right, it's going to be waiting for a hookup. So when you have someone like me, I have the 22, you have the 12, when we're together, you're going to have a little bit more clarity on when to be cautious and when not to be cautious. You're also going to have a little bit more awareness around when to be open and when to be more reserved. Really appreciate your lives. I should go to bed, but I'm still here. Celia, much love to you. I actually have to go to as well. I have a session coming up in half an hour. So you guys have been absolutely incredible. Okay, so Cron, so that's your manifesting channel. So part of that 1222 again is like knowing when to reveal your emotions to people, right? And a lot of the times, especially with new age kind of rhetoric, it's like, be honest, tell people the truth. Sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes telling people the truth to their face will fuck everything up, especially if you're in an emotional wave or in the middle of an emotional process. Crone, one of your greatest gifts is to actually not reveal your emotions until they've been processed by you to a degree. So again, you don't tell your husband how you feel, how he never sees you until you actually sift and move through some of the melancholy and you have a poem to read him, right? Like refine your emotional wave. And it's not that the emotions are too much for other people, it's that people can literally not do anything with your emotions other than to have their own response, especially generators. If you're an emotional being, sharing your feelings with a non-emotional being or somebody with an undefined solar plexus, the only thing that they can do with your emotions is echo it. And they're either going to do that consciously and let you know, hey, you're in an emotional wave. I'm not going to take anything you said personally, but you're in an emotional wave. I'm going to give you some space. Or they can take it personally and being like, well, I did this and blah, blah, blah. And then it just becomes a conflict of like, who's seen, who's recognized. I'm not seeing, I did this and you didn't see that. Well, I did this for you and you didn't see it. It just becomes a head and ajna battle. What about have a hanging 12 and an undefined throat center? So Amara, you're looking for people with 22 because you're looking to with the hanging 12, no 22. What you're doing is you're looking for to recognize people that are open and appreciate people for their openness, right? Generally speaking, with the hanging 12, there might be a more reserved nature. You might have learned throughout your life that you can't always be sure when it's time to talk or when it's time to be in the spotlight, and so you tend to just not do that. But the more that you start to appreciate others for their openness, especially like emotional individuality, the more clear it will be to you, or the more invitations you'll get, or the more openings you'll have to be in the spotlight again, if that's what's correct for you. Okay, I'm gonna get sucked in. You guys are gonna suck me in. You know you're gonna do it. You're gonna suck me in, and then I'm not gonna have as much time to ground myself for my report. So all of these questions, guys, if you would please go put them in one of my videos, because one of the ways that I create content is I'll show up to some of my videos, and anybody that has good comments or asks questions in the comments, I typically will use those as kind of like, well, what is it that everyone wants to know? So if you have more questions and stuff, please, I invite you to put it in my comments. I'm going to go ground, get ready for this next session. Thank you guys for being a part of this live. We're going live again on Friday, Hawaii Standard Time, 9 o'clock. Friday, 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. And then next week, again, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I really want to invite you guys to join my archive because I just started a new series there that's supposed to help us balance the transit activations by doing actual physical exercises. You guys know I do some of these eye exercises and things, but I got this new series that I'm really excited about sharing that is specifically based off the transit. So if you guys want to join in on that, the only places to get that is the archive. It's an $11 a month subscription. There's a place for discussion. There's a bunch of courses on there, and it's just growing, guys. So I would really love to see some of you guys get signed up for the archive, test it out, see if you like it. Also, if anyone needs a report or the app, or wants to do a one-on-one, all of that is via reikimarco.com. There's also a ton of scammers out there pretending to be me. So if you think you're having a conversation with me, um, you know, I'm either going to reach out and give you a free gift. I'm never going to ask you for money. Okay, I'm never going to ask you for money. And yes, it's been absolutely wild how much we've grown here. Priya, sexy, sweet, subtle, all of the subscribers. Thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you on Friday. This was a lit live. Even we only got 15,000 likes. That's okay. I'm not really too obsessed with likes. I just really want people to get this information. And so with that, I love you guys. I will see you next time, Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Aloha.